So it's rare that when there's a former MVP with 1 year left on his contract, who's still playing pretty good, that comes on the trade market, that there's zero market for him. Nobody wants him.
Yeah, but that's where James Harden is right now. And his decline over the past few years has been absolutely brutal.
Before we start talking about James Harden though, if you haven't already, make sure you leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. Harden's decline, really since like 2020, has been kind of just fucking crazy. Like, let's just go back like a couple of years to when James Harden was in Houston. Dude was a perennial all-star, league MVP in 2018, led the NBA in scoring from 2017 to 2020, had his team 1 win away from the NBA Finals in 2018. Like, this guy was genuinely a top 5 player in the world.
Oh yeah, he might have been like top 3. He was one of the best scorers ever during this era. Like, outside of peak Jordan, peak Kobe, there's not really many guys that could score like he could. He could shoot, he gets to the line, he gets to the bucket, he had a quick burst. The dude had everything in his bag.
I mean, look at his 2018-2019 season. Dude averaged 36 points per game, scored 40 plus 28 times.
What the hell? That's insane.
Scored 50 plus 9 times and scored 60 plus twice. That's the 7th highest points per game average in NBA history.
Yeah, I think this season kind of killed him away though, because the entire offensive load was just on Harden that season. Chris Paul missed a ton of games with hamstring injury, and James Harden, it was an all-time carry job by him that season.
Yeah, and I mean, they got bounced by the Warriors in 2018. They got bounced by him again in 2019. They traded away Chris Paul in exchange for Russ, only to lose to the Lakers in round 2. They didn't even mention the fact that he had Dwight Howard for a couple years before they got Chris Paul. But after the bubble, after they lost to the Lakers, Rockets lost Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey, and it was kind of clear that their window had passed. Rumors started rumbling about Harden maybe wanting out, and then Russell Westbrook wanted out. So now both of the Rockets guards are like, yeah, fuck this, we're done.
Yeah, that didn't really last long. It was literally just like 1 year. Not many people thought it was gonna work out. I mean, we sure as hell didn't, Russ and Harden, and it really didn't. But the Rockets, they're like, we'll move Russ, but we're gonna keep Harden for now.
And then Harden engaged Operation Fat Suit.
He really did.
Now look, I don't know if he wore a fat suit, but goddamn, look at these pictures. And then look at him when he got to Brooklyn. It is not physically possible for a person to look like that and then look like that in that short amount of time.
He did not show up in shape. Simple as that.
No, and he was dogging it for the Rockets. Like, he still was putting up like 24 points per game because James Harden, even when he's dogging it, can still do that. But on January 12th, man went straight up scorched earth because he just told reporters that the Rockets were, quote, just not good enough. I mean, Dave's probably been thinking that for years, but at least he still shows up and plays.
I've never seen a player just completely say, like, I'm giving up. I'm not playing for them. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get traded.
If memory serves though, he did have a game where he scored 44 points against the Blazers just to prove, oh yeah, I'm still a great player. I'm just intentionally playing like shit right now.
Well, James Harden could be like 300 pounds and still give you like 30 a night.
Probably, yeah. Harden finally got his wish though, only 2 days after he said his team wasn't good enough. He got traded to Brooklyn, which according to reports was one of his 2 options. He got traded there for Victor Oladipo, 4 firsts, and 4 first swaps.
Not the best, but in hindsight, I'm sure they're like, okay, you know, we'll take that for Harden how he is nowadays. And I was just shocked when this deal went down because I heard a little bit of murmurs about it. You know, maybe Harden could go to Brooklyn, but I was like, there's no way. They just got KD. They just got Kyrie. There's no way they get James Harden as well.
And then they got James Harden as well.
And when he started there, he was looking like, honestly, an MVP caliber player.
He was still putting up like his same numbers that he was in Houston, but that was fine now because he was part of a big 3. He wasn't the lone star there. And yeah, people were saying like, he's the most important member of the big 3 because of his ability to assist the ball. And like in February, he had a week where he won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, led the Nets to 4 wins, averaged 32 points, 9 boards, and 11 assists. Like, he was awesome when he played.
And honestly, when that big 3 played together, that team was unstoppable. I mean, Kyrie, KD, and Harden, they only played 16 games together, but they were 13-3. I feel like when they were fully healthy, nobody could even remotely stop them.
Well, that's the problem.
There's your problem.
They were never fully healthy. Quite literally ever fully healthy. They played 16 games together over 2 seasons.
And really, what killed this team, the start of it, was that hamstring injury. What killed Harden's career at this point was that damn hamstring injury.
I'm gonna need a documentary in 20 years about this hamstring injury. It's really weird. Like, he first hurt started in April. He missed about a month. And, he came back in the playoffs and he played pretty well in round 1 against Boston. He dropped 41 points in game 3. Like, he looked all right. But 43 seconds into game 1 against the Bucks, he re-aggravates it. And he did come back, but he was god-awful. Scored 5 points on 1 of 10 shooting in 45 minutes played.
That is awful. Here's the thing with Harden. I'll defend him a little bit here because from what I've heard is the Nets doctors labeled this as hamstring tightness. And the truth was it was a grade 2 hamstring strain, which apparently takes a month or 2 to recover from. So he had no business playing.
Well, it looked like he had no business playing.
He didn't.
Because he played like shit. He also played in games 6 and 7, but he was a complete non-factor. We all know KD's big ass toe was on the 3-point line. If it wasn't, maybe we're having a different conversation. Maybe KD, Kyrie, and Harden are all still in Brooklyn. Who knows? But what actually happened is the Nets bowed out to Milwaukee. And going into the next season, the Nets offered Harden a 3-year, $161 million extension, and he passed on it because he was betting on getting a 4-year, $227 million extension the next offseason.
Dude, just take the money.
Yeah, I take the money.
I know it's 1 more year. It's a lot more money, 227 to 161, but just take the damn money.
This season, though, quite a weird one for Brooklyn. Kyrie missed the first 2 months because he didn't want to get the COVID vaccine. He was brought back in early January, but only for road games until New York City lifted their COVID restrictions. That, by the way, didn't happen until the end of March. The Nets were 24-12 when they brought back Kyrie. They were just coming off a 3-game losing streak, and personally, I think they panicked.
You're completely right. They panicked, but they did ball out in that first game. I think it was on the road at Indiana, so things were still looking a little bit good. If you keep James Harden, if you keep Kevin Durant healthy, you have Kyrie part-time at least, that's still pretty good. 2.5 superstars, better than most teams.
Yeah, then Durant went out of the lineup, and they fell off a cliff.
They fell off so damn hard.
Yeah, they fell off multiple cliffs, actually. They went on an 11-game losing streak without KD. They dropped from the 2nd seed down to the 8th seed. And again, rumors started to surface about Harden wanting another trade, this time to Philadelphia. And he didn't deploy the fat suit this time, but he did start dogging it and playing like ass again.
He just quit on the team.
He did 100%
Didn't quite do
quit on
the
the
fat
team.
side. He's like, I'm gonna do it a little bit, not as obvious this time. Here's the thing from Harden's perspective. He went to the Nets. He wanted to be like, a 2nd, 3rd option. Then Kyrie's not playing. KD's hurt, and he's like, what the hell? I'm back to the Houston James Harden days.
Also, I get you couldn't predict the Kyrie being out from the vaccine, but you could predict him being out from injury. Kevin Durant had just recently missed a year of action with a torn Achilles. You could predict him going out. This was not an unforeseen situation.
And also, it's not like the Durant injury was a season ender. He still returned near the end of the season, and Kyrie was able to play full-time games. He could have just waited it out, and they all would have been there for the playoffs.
But nope, on February 10th, 2022, Harden was traded to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks, and honestly, a god-awful trade for Brooklyn, even considering what Harden is now.
I mean, people thought Ben Simmons, he could work as a distributor and defender.
To this point, he has not.
No, not at all.
Harden arrived in Philadelphia, though, to much fanfare. He was reunited with Daryl Morey, and people thought, okay, this is finally the co-star. He's with Joel Embiid, that pick and roll. Oh boy. And honestly, with Harden, his last couple weeks in Brooklyn, everyone kind of just assumed he was dogging it like he was in Houston, and that his numbers would improve when he got to Philly. And he got off to a pretty good start. He scored 25 or more and shot over 50% each of his first 4 games. After that, his production fell off hard. He weirdly stopped shooting a lot. There was the joke that a lot of his shooting lines looked like concert dates.
How they look like concert tour dates.
415, 410, 413, 410, 412, 716. By the way, those 6 lines all happened in a row.
That is crazy. That's the craziest thing about this Harden decline is he went from one of the best scorers in NBA history to a guy who is not a good scorer at all, not efficient whatsoever.
Not only that, it seems like he doesn't want to score.
Harden.
Shoot, dummy.
Ooh. Didn't want it. Yang does.
Yeah, he weirdly took this distributing role, and to be honest, he's pretty good at it.
He's great at it.
He's really good. He's one of the best passers in the league, but I don't get what happened to his scoring offense.
Yeah, and even in the playoffs, his form didn't improve at all. He averaged 18.6 points, 8.6 assists on only 40.5% shooting. He only had 2 games in the playoffs where he shot above 50%. Even going into the 2022-23 season, I feel like people were still making excuses for Harden. People are like, oh, maybe the hamstring was still bothering him. It's an injury that can linger. You know, he's got a full off season. He's been with the Sixers for a full training camp. Like, he knows the guys, he knows the coaches. Again, though, he seems to embrace this role as like a distributor first and like a scorer second. And I don't really think that's what the Sixers had in mind when they traded for him.
No, they thought they were getting the old James Harden, the automatic bucket James Harden. You pair him with Embiid, kind of like the Dwight pairing back in the day, but Embiid is obviously way better at this point in his career. But no, he cannot score anymore. He doesn't have that burst. He still kind of got that step back three every once in a while.
And in the playoffs, he was just the definition of inconsistent, especially against the Celtics. He wasn't great against Brooklyn, but you look at him against the Celtics. Game 1, no Joel Embiid, on the road in Boston. He scores 45 points on good shooting. That was the most points he scored since like the bubble, I think. Led the Sixers to a shocking win. Game 2, he scores 12 points on 2 of 14 shooting.
Like, how does that
happen?
How? I don't get it. And you would think, okay, you know, game 2, it's a fallback game. It's on the road. Game 3, he's going to show up again. 16 points on 14 shots.
And then in game 4, 42 points on 23 shots, including the 3 that put them up for good.
Yeah, he balled out in game 4, and it's like, okay, can Harden do it? Can Harden and Embiid close him out? Game 5, he was all right, but they still won. And game 6 and 7 came back down to earth.
He went through the crust. He was headed to the core. I don't know if he quite got to the core.
Going through the earth.
But he got 22 points on 7 of 27 shooting. Horrible.
I mean, this is the thing with Harden. He's always been able to put up the stats, but for some reason in the playoffs, the dude just cannot get over that hump.
And now in the offseason, he surprised everyone by opting into his contract, but it was only so that the Sixers could work on finding a trade for him. That is 3 trade requests since 2020. That is 1 per year if you are keeping track. And according to reports, at the moment right now, there's no market for him. The Suns were initially interested, but they went with Bradley Beal. The Heat were floated as an option, but they're all in on Dame. That really left only the Clippers, and apparently they are unwilling to give up Terrence Mann and the remaining draft picks to land a former MVP.
Well, if you're the Clippers, you're tying the 76ers, they're like, okay, we want this, this, and that. Who are you bidding against? No one else makes even remote sense for Harden. I couldn't see him getting traded to anyone besides the Clippers, and I kind of feel like he stays in Philadelphia this year.
Yeah, I think so too, and who knows what his relationship with the team is going to be like. He was seen at White Party with the Sixers owner with Embiid. That being said, he was also seen partying and stocking up on Trill burgers during Embiid's wedding, and he also removed all mention of the Sixers from his social media.
Yeah, and he recently posted this weird ass thing on Instagram, like, I've been comfortable for a long time. It's time to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It was something like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, and this is the thing with Harden. It's like, he's had plenty of start teammates. He's had Dwight, he's had Chris Paul, he's had Russ, KD, Kyrie, Embiid. Like, at what point is he the problem?
Yeah, I'd probably say now he's the problem, when he's not really a superstar anymore and he's still demanding max contracts, wanting trades. Like, at this point, he just doesn't have the leverage anymore. Who really cares?
No, and like this whole decline of his, maybe we've just been spoiled by guys like LeBron and Steph, you know, guys who can maintain such a high level of play this deep in their career. I mean, guys like Carmelo couldn't do that, Dwayne Wade couldn't do that. But considering what Harden was only 3 years ago, and he's not even that old, he's only 33, considering what he was and what he is now in such a short time, it's just an insane decline. That's the video, guys. What do you think the future holds for James Harden? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.